on today's episode, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Instead of me sharing some trends or analysis, I'm going to share a clip from a recent appearance on Scot Wingo's podcast, Retailgentic. Scot is the host of that podcast, but he invited me on to turn the tables on him and ask for a bit of his career background and some of his perspective on where retail is headed. What you're about to hear is part of a conversation where we went back and forth on one of the big questions that people in e-commerce are thinking about today, which is how will LLMs like ChatGPT make most of their money in the future? Will it be through ads or will it be through retail sales and taking a cut of that marketplace revenue that they're starting to spin up with announcements from Walmart, Instacart, DoorDash, and the like? Let's jump in. Another one of your theses that you just shared was the LLMs aren't going to monetize through ads, they're going to monetize through marketplaces, which certainly appears to be happening, at least as the first priority. Do you think that they will? And if yes, what kind of timeline would you be looking at there?
So ChatGPT is. So I view what Checkout is they're built a marketplace. Now it's a very unique marketplace. Sam Altman calls it an affiliate, and I think it's just a nomenclature thing. In my purest e-commerce view of affiliate, the transaction happens on the retailer site. I think he's calling it an affiliate because the retailer is still merchant of record, but they don't leave ChatGPT. So in my mind, that's a marketplace. When you don't leave the site that the retailer is the retailer is not on that site, and you check out up here, that's a marketplace. I'm not married to that definition. Marketplace / affiliate. Affiliate, I think, confuses it. Like I've got all this history of affiliate.
Sure, it's its own industry,
it's its own thing.
For people like you and me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I think we're going to see everyone follow this pretty quickly. And I think there's going to be several modes of this. So the one that Google's doing is more what a lot of people want to argue is what ChatGPT is doing agentic or not. That's like a silly argument. I don't really care. It's just a great buyer experience. But I think what Google's going to do is going to be interesting, where they're actually going to have an agent go fill out the checkout. And, that's going to be a different mode, but it's going to be, in my mind, it's still a marketplace. It's an agentic marketplace because you never leave the merchant site as a human. The human never leaves the merchant site. The agent goes to it for you. It feels like you're still on Google.
I think a concern that retailers had initially is that the traffic is dropping off. There's now an intermediary sitting between us and the consumer. Is this going to challenge our business model, and is this going to cause sort of radical commoditization amongst retailers? I personally have a number of arguments as to I don't think it will cause commoditization, but I'm curious what you think.
I think I think a lot of that is colored by our experiences with kind of the duopoly or triopoly of Facebook, Amazon, and Google, where merchants that you and I talk to have been of all size, especially Amazon sellers. You and I know a lot of Amazon sellers. They're like, they get punched in the face like 5 times a day. That's a rough living. And I think we have a new competitor that realizes they're not going to win by doing that. And the way they win is by not doing that. And by changing the game a lot and not doing ads, not punching their partner in the face. And that's how they're going to win.
When your time, budget, and team are already maxed out, keeping up with retailer platforms and media requirements can feel like a never-ending labyrinth. That's why even the best brands bring in an execution partner. Acosta Group makes retail media execution simpler. They stay ahead of every platform update, tech shift, and media spec, so your campaigns actually show up and perform without draining your team. Let Acosta Group handle the chaos behind the scenes so you can keep building the brand. Check out acosta.group and tell them Retail Media Breakfast Club sent you. That's ACOSTA.group.
Now, everyone can point, everyone says Facebook said that too, and then they changed. Yes. But again, I think that people have learned from that. And, Sam Altman he's, he's got a very long history of this and watching it. And he's very, he's probably one of the smarter people that's ever tackled this problem. So I think it's gonna be really interesting. I think there's a good shot that it doesn't happen like that. And even if it does, wouldn't you rather have 4 bullies instead of 3?
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, every revolution in retail has been a reaction to a set of issues that someone new was looking to solve. So Amazon being a great example of just creating a completely different experience that solved for problems that people like didn't necessarily immediately understand were problems, but over the last 20 years, like there's no grand master plan at Amazon, like let's make merchants lives as difficult as possible, or let's make this experience for consumers super opaque so they don't know that they got a good deal on Prime Big Deal days or whatever. There's no evil master plan, but it is compounding decisions that are made off of a way of doing business that ultimately there is a opposite response out there in the market, and that is the free market.
Yeah, I'd rather have 4 people fighting for my business. The other signal, the merchant of record signal, is very unique. So being the merchant of record now makes it infinitely easier to do loyalty programs. And
Yes, I
this
love
is
that.
this is so another way to kind of get at to, let's pretend we're in this debate. Well, how do you? All right, so I would say to you, Mr. Retailer, how do you avoid commoditization in physical retail? And one of the answers is loyalty, right? The loyalty program. So building a relationship with your customer. So number one, by being merchant of record, it is for the first time your customer, and which is very powerful in our marketplace world. I can point to 200 marketplaces where you're not the merchant of record and you're just borrowing that customer and you can't remarket to them. So this is super unique. I think Jet did it, but it no longer exists. So I can't double 100% verify that. I think they came close to it. They would give it to you, but you weren't technically merchant of record. They were more merchant friendly. They were the most merchant friendly. And so I think we'll see by next year, this checkout will be enhanced to have a loyalty thing and a bunch of other stuff that merchants want. And that's how you fight commoditization.
Absolutely. Yes, I completely agree. I think that the loyalty programs are going to have a real moment and come back and be more exciting and dynamic than ever. And it will be a significant way for retailers to add value beyond like lowest priced leather boot is one thing. But like if I'm loyal to a certain retailer because of a program or because of other factors as well, like delivery time, ease of returns. There's so many non-price factors that I think that retailers can differentiate on. I think that there's just a need for retailers to go back to their reason for being and understand like what are we offering that's unique. It doesn't have to be price.
That the store experience, a lot of people like having the ability to return to the store, and and that harmonized or omnichannel or whatever you want to call it. I think you'll be able to, because you're going to get that customer, you're going to be able to tie it to those things. Whereas in the non-merchant of record, you have to go through all this weird reading of tea leaves to figure out, is this a new customer and what's going on.
Well, I just love this conversation with Scott because it gets to the heart of the uncertainty in e-commerce right now. On one hand, AI is reshaping how discovery and transactions happen. On the other, the fundamentals still matter. Loyalty, differentiation as a brand or as a retailer, and being the merchant of record. If you want to hear the full episode, check out Scott's podcast, Retailgentic. I'll drop a link in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you tomorrow.